In this video, we're going to explore how we can create a moving average. And a moving average chart is basically a common stock chart where we can check and compare data based on existing data to predict the moving average or the average of that number. And the main reason for that is if the stock would be below the average, it would mean that the stock would be undervalued and you could buy it because it expects to go up again. Of course, this is not 100% accurate. This is a very simple indicator because this is only one out of the multiple indicators in stock market. So do not take this as the single indicator to buy. Of course, I'm not a stock market expert, so by saying that, you at least you are aware. However, what we're going to do here is we're going to create this moving average item based on an array of existing data. And that's what we're really going to do. Where we implement it in a chart, well, I might do it maybe at the very end, not sure about that. However, most important part will be creating an array where we take the average of certain numbers, putting them together. So how does the moving average works? And before I even continue that, if you want to learn about ChartJS, check out my ChartJS Udemy course. You can find the link in the description box. Alright, so that goes deeper in ChartJS in general. So what we're going to do here basically is this. So let me give you an example. Let's say we have here constant, and this constant name is what would be the right name of that, or probably here data points. That would be the right one. Data points or stock closing numbers, right? So all right, and the reason I'm talking about this is because the stock market or the most common data point that is being recorded is the closing number. Of course, there are more, however, that's for maybe next time. So let's say, imagine here, we have a stock that closes at 9 on the first day, and then after it will close on the seventh day, and then we have 10, and then we have, let's say, 40, and I'm just making some numbers up, this is extremely high, by the way, 30, and then it goes down to 20, and then it goes down back to 10, and then it goes here to 15. Alright, so we have a quite up and down road. Eventually here it just peaks it, and then it starts to go down again. And then here it slightly recovers back to normal. Or at least it bounces up again. However, so what we're going to do is, or how does it really work? The moving average can be done on multiple data points. 3 days, 5 days, 20 days, 10 days, etc., etc. How many you should use depends on yourself. According to many stock market experts, they would say the 20 is a very good one, and the longer or the more data points you have, the better it is to analyze. However, I'm going to use here a very simple moving day average, which is 3. What would that mean? So if we have an array with this 3 data point or a moving average of 3, it means that we will take the first 3 data points and get the average of that. And once we did that, we're going to do the next 3 data point and get the average of that, and then etc, etc, etc. Alright, so that would mean 9 plus 7 plus 10, then divide by 3, you will get a number here. I'm not sure what that number is. It will be somewhere maybe somewhere in the 8 or 9 plus perhaps. So let's say 8.5. Let's say this will be 8.5. So what we want to do is then this data 8.5 start to be stored separately in a new array, and this array will be basically new one. So what happens then with the next data, it will start from 7, 10, and 40. We're going to get those things, we put it in here. And the next one, it might be 7, 10, and 40. They would say the new array would be 8.5, and then the next data point would be this together. I would say, let's say 17. I'm not sure, I'm just saying something. And then here again, 10, 40, and 30 together. This would make probably 23 plus, and then etc, etc. As you see, we keep on removing just only one data point at a time. Alright, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to create a function for that. So let's start and explore and explain how this works. So the first thing what we're going to do is one array, which we have now the stock closing number array. You can see here this has no equal. Alright, that's correct. So the next part we're going to do is we have to create a new array. That's what we want to do for the moving average. Yeah, MA. I will just call it MA for moving average. Once we did that, which is a very quick one that we can do as well, number 3, we need to use the slice option, or the slice method, sorry, not option, method. And this will basically get the first 3 data points, or the data point that we want to slice or take out from the existing array. Once we did that, we need to sum them plus average, divide sum, and sum divide by 3. And this 3 could be anything. If you would have another number, we could make here a variable. Once we did that, we got that we need to, number 5, push new value into MA array. Alright, as we're going to, once we get this data, we have to push it in this array. And finally, once we did that, we got number 6, we will loop it. Loop, or the for loop for this. Alright, number 7 would be, as you can see, because we will have an issue with the for loop as well. And the reason why is this, we will keep on counting 1, 1, but it will always count 3. So what happens when we are here, or I did will get this data, but the moment we are here, we're only getting 2 data, but we're going to divide it by 3, which is not alright because you get a wrong impression. And then here saying, well, this 15 will be divided by 3 would make it 5, which is incorrect, of course. So what we need to do here is we will stop the moment we hit this point here. So we say here, stop the loop once we hit less than 3 data points. Alright, so that's what we're going to do. So now we have all of this and you have this understanding. We already did this one here, so that's done. Next one is to create a new array, which is the moving average array. So we say here const moving average, alright, equals blank, of course. The reason why it's blank because it is empty. We are going to start with it. Once we did that, now we're done with this. There we are. That goes quite fast. Next one is slice method. So what we're going to do now is get the slice method. And what does the slice method really do is we were going to get, as you can see, maybe this we could even push here up. Alright. Number 3. So it's easy to follow along what I'm doing is here. You can follow this as well. Slice method. So we're going to get this one and we're going to slice off the items here that we want. So what we want to do is we say here slice for the array. And in here, we're going to put in the data point. So what is that we're going to slice? Well, the first thing is we're going to slice, we say 0. And this one is the starting point. Index number, 0. Alright, so you should know what is index and what is a element in array. Alright, this is the index number. So what is the starting point, which is the 0. And why? 0 is the index number because in an array, 0, in an array, they have 0 base counting, meaning that it starts at 0. Number 9 is basically index number 0. But if you would say the element, which element is number 9? You say element number 1. You might say, well, then why don't they call it 0? Well, it's kind of weird to say element number 0. Yeah, you know, the communication, element number 0 doesn't make sense. So the first element, not the 0th element. Alright? So this is the first element, but this is index number 0. So how many items do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 elements here. But if you want to pinpoint element number 8, we say index number 0. And if I talk about index, how do you display that? It'll be like this, number 7. Alright, so now we got this. Now you figure that one out. You understand this one here. So once we get this, we slice off. So we say this is the starting point, and then it asks how many items do we need. Alright, so what we have to do next is then we have this here, the 0, and then we have the amount that we want to slice. So basically it's 3. So what we can do here to make this a constant or variable, and we say here a certain value, which we can say average, and this would be the number that we indicate, which is number 3, and then we can say here average equals that. So once we have this, we can continue on here with the following. So we have here now our slice. So if we show this in an array, let's show this in the console log, you will see now we have the 3 items in here, which is exactly what we want. We just copy this, paste it in here, we save this, and once we save this, refresh here and open up our developer tab. You can see now we have an array of 3 items, which is 9, 7, and 10. Is that correct? 9, 7, and 10. All right. So if we would move this to the next one, which is 1, we get, oh, you can see here, then we have to later fix that one here as well. We should have here plus a certain value here. If this would be plus 1, you can see now we get the 3 here. So later on, once we are going to loop, this will be an important factor here to remember. All right. So at least we have this. This is now very important and done now. The next one is the sum. So what we need to do here is to summarize or to sum the total value here. So how will we do this? Well, what we can do here is to make this first a constant. There's a constant. And what is this constant name? Is data points 3, for example, or maybe here 3 data points. That's what might be fine. 3 data points. All right. So what we're going to do here is now, because this is our new array, or sorry, the new slice part where we have the 3 data points. In here, we're going to use the reduce item here. So we have to sum them. So to do that, we do reduce. Then after that, we're going to divide them by 3. All right. So how do we do this? Well, we do here the reduce. And in the reduce, we have a double parentheses. And what we want to do, the following is this. We will say here total, because this will be the function total and number. And then we have the arrow operator where we give a return. So what will it return? It will return the following. But the total is here a data point, and here as well a number. So what we will say here is the following. We say total plus num. Alright, if we do this, what really happens is the following. We get these 3 data points here, which is this one here. And it says here first the total is 0 plus num. How much is num? Num is 9. Alright, so that's number 1. So, and then we have 9 plus num. Then there will be the next data point, which is 7. So 9 plus 7 equals, what is that? 16. Alright, so alright, so that was alright. A bit slow, but yeah, doesn't matter. Okay, that is 16. So then after that, 16 plus 10 equals 26. So that's basically what it does. It loops it through these items and it starts with the total. And the total starting point is 0. Alright, so we have this now. We got this. Let's check what is the console log showing. It would show us the total amount of 26. Let's save this, refresh here, and now you can see here that's correct, 26. Alright, so we got this point here. Now what we have to do still is to divide this value. What we can do here is divide by 3, and then we can basically use the console log again just to validate if we are still seeing this number. Alright, I'll say that that will probably be correct, so that's fine. Next point. Alright, so now we have this. What we want to do now is we want to push in the array. So how do we push this in array? We have the moving average here. We use the moving average here, and then we say dot push. Alright, what are we pushing? Well, basically we're pushing this data point here. We're going to push this here. I'll just copy this here and push that in here. And once we did that, we can save this. I can do a console log just to double check if we are exactly getting what we want. So then we should push the 8.666 should be added here in the moving average. Alright, so refresh, and now we have 1 data point. Oh, so what's going on here? It shows here push. Alright, that is correct. Sorry, this is not necessary, and the reason why this is not showing, why it shows number 1 is because it's pushing. How many data points does it push? It pushes 1 data point. So what it shows is correct. I just used the wrong formula or the wrong function. What I need to do here is just give me the moving average display. Display all the values in the moving average. So once we do that, go back to console, you can see here 8.666. Alright, this works, this is correct. So now we have this, and basically what we need to do now is basically to loop it. We're going to loop that, and the loop will start from here above, or from this point on here. So here we have the loop. So what we can do is the following. say here for, and then we say here we make the statement, or we first assign the variable, which is I, the index, or iteration. Iteration, if I'm not mistaken, is that one. So we assign a variable which is 0, and then we iterate through this. So how do we iterate through this? Well, first of all, we need to make the statement. So how long or when should it iterate? So it iterates until I is bigger than our moving average, our stock closing number. It's this one dot length. All right. So the moment this is becoming bigger than this, at that moment we say, okay, we can now continue on. Or at that moment we'll stop. So once we have this one, so it loops through this consistently, and then we have here, we say I plus plus. So when I is smaller than this one here, yes, make sure. So this is the length here. The length here would be 8 or 7. So I will start with 0, and after that we start to loop through it. So now we have this. What we want to do here is we want to just get this data, put it in here. And what we're going to do here is just indent these items. Now we have this here. So now what we have to double check is to see if this starts to work. Let's save this, refresh, and as you can see, it starts to loop. And if you look at it, you say, what's going on here? All right, it loops multiple times for now, which is fine. This is correct. We didn't assign yet the different loops, but you can see here it keeps on looping 8 times. That is correct because we have 8 elements in our array. So this is correct. So we're not done yet, of course, because what we have to do here, if you remember what I showed you here, is the average. This needs to increase with the I. Alright, so if you increase this and refresh, you will see now, after a while, it will stop, which is also correct. Why does it stop? After the 3 data points, it doesn't move. So we need to here, moving average plus I. Alright, so now once we did this, you can see now the first value is this, and then it becomes 19. So is this correct, 19? Apparently yes, that's definitely a good one. Then 26, and then, oh sorry, we can go here. It keeps on going until, and here, until here, as you can see here, it becomes a issue. The moment it hits here, after this 15, let's see here, this one here is 15. And, oh sorry, this one is 15, is 45 divided by 3. Alright, so you can see here, 15 is the last one, and after that it starts to keep on dividing, but we don't want this. So what we can do here, we can reduce this length minus 2. If we save this, it will go here only until 15. Alright, so this is an option. Of course, there's another option we can do here, and I'll have to later on explore that one, where we can basically create the length, where we calculate the length of our slice here. So that would be also an option. That when we see that the slice becomes shorter, we could basically divide it by the amount of items that is in there. Although I do not like it so much. So we say this divided by 2, that might be, and this one divided by 1. Could be. It gives a slightly different things. However, here, if we would create a chart right now, we will have only 5 data, or we only have 6 data points here in total. 6 elements, length of 6, as you can see. That would be fine, but I think for now this would be, so we already fixed number 7. We have this one, and we could even automate this. So automate, I will say automate later on maybe. What I want to do is, why don't we just start to create a line chart and test this. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video for now. I'm just going to open up the tab for a chart.js, and then after we're going to insert all the data for chart.js and create a quick line chart here. Alright, so I just opened up the tab here for ChartJS. This is chartjs.org. Get started, and then in here I'm just going to copy this one here. This is a line chart or a bar chart. You can see this is a bar chart. I do not want this. I want a line chart. So I'm going to copy this one here. Click on getting started. Copy this. Just going to make this quickly. Post in here. Alright, and then we say this one. Just put it in here underneath, and then finally what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all of this here. Alright, so we copy all of this, we say here script. It could be here down as well, or here down as well, but it's alright for now. I want to just give this a new name, constant. It's preferred constant. Alright, so we have this here, and let's go back here. If we refresh here now, alright, we get something, but I don't like where it's positioned, so I'm going to readjust the positioning below here. Alright, so we got this here. You can see here border color, background color, and I would say here background color transparent. We could do probably transparent. Alright, so that's fine. That's more than enough. Alright, so what we want to do here basically is the following. You can see here we get these data points. Alright, that's interesting. But what we want to do now is our moving average. So what we have to do here is we're going to create a new line. And this new line contains our moving average data. So how do we get the moving average? Well, we have to put probably this here somewhere up. This needs to be inserted here. So we have here, and then we just say here, moving average. Let's say this one background color. Alright, that's fine. And this one I will make it 0, 0 or 0. And I will give it 0 as well. Let's see what we get. We get a greenish color. Oh, sorry, we got a mistake here. And the reason why we need to have a comma here, of course, make sure you have commas. There we are. So we have the moving average here, but the moving average is similar right now in numbers. So I say here 1, 2, 3, 4, and then let's say this 100. Alright, as you can see, this is working. This is our moving average. There we are. Alright. Now we have a moving average. What I want to get is I want to get this data point, and I guess that this needs to be moved up on top. So we can eventually insert this in there, or we can just copy this piece of text and put it in the script above. It's above here, but I'll just put it in here. So we get this here, we have this average here, this is fine. What we want to do here is basically start to add up this moving average variable. So this is our constant here. We can say here, the moving average, console log, we can put it in here. We move this one, and I think we have to move that. So I'm so used to putting in semicolons. Sorry about that. Don't just only put in the moving average. Alright, so once we do that, you can see here we have the data. And this would be our data. However, our data here, you say this doesn't match. Of course it doesn't match because we have currently other data that we use here, stock closing numbers. This is the one I want to insert in here. So once we have that, we say here, stock closing numbers or stock, I have no idea what's currently famous, GameStop. Alright, so we got this one here, we have this, we have the moving average here. Alright, starts to get, of course it's not 100% accurate, I realize here now, because we're getting the new data point, but that's really not really the right way to do it. As you realize now is that this one would say 7, and our moving average is surpassing that one. Am I correct? Let's check here. We get the 7, it goes down, but the moving average here, and then here the moving average. So somehow we're somewhat incorrect, but that doesn't matter. For now, at least for now it doesn't matter, because here basically this would mean here is above moving average. And you can see here the stock, so that would mean if it should be going down, and now here it's almost crossing each other. So basically, according to moving average theory, it's basically this, is once the stock line is below moving average, it is a good investment to consider to buy. Of course, there are other factors. And if it's above moving average, it is starting to consider as it's being bought too, or the price is too high, and you should take your profits and wait until it goes down again. What I do want to consider here is, because we have here still a few items that I don't like. As you can see here, we're missing a few items. We have here 8 data points, and what I saw here was we only have, let's see, where are we? Here we only have 7. So we need to put in here Another one, August. Save this, refresh, and then as you can see here. Alright, so the question would be, how could we make this one here? Now you might say, well, I would like to know this one as well. I will basically explore that one to figure that one out as well, because most likely it will be here with the length. But what I will do, I will stop and pause the video and then explore that. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to do some small adjustments on our items, and as I'm looking at it, I realize I have a duplicated item here where we push basically the value here. This here could be just removed because this is basically the same step. This is step 4 and 5 in 1, so this is redundant. So I'm going to remove that redundancy, and then now we're going to solve the issue. So first of all, we had this here, and I will remove this now because that is not necessary. So if we do this, if we save this, you will see we will keep on going down here. Alright, so this is not really what we want. What we want is, you can see here, now it's 5. So why is this 5? Well, it divides basically by 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to solve this one. This is a hard-coded tree, or it could be even an average here. We'd have the exact same effect. Alright, so no difference. What we need to do here is, instead of average, we just say how long, or what is the length of this array here. And what I mean by that is, it's basically this here. So we have this 3 data points reduced by total, divide by this dot length. And the reason why we're doing this is basically for the following. Once we have more than, because right now you can see here, this is 5. And why is this 5? Because it will get the last data point, and that data point is considered 15. But then divide by 3 equals 5. Alright, so that makes sense? So we have this here, when we have this length, it will divide by the amount of array values we have. If you only have one array, we will divide it by 1, which is 15 in this case. So let's save this, refresh, and as you can see here now, this is starting to adjust. Although I do not like this result here, because you can see that this result does not make too much sense yet. And the main reason is because the data here would be so different. So according to this would definitely vary or change the moment something happens. So what happened here? So let's say here, look, you can see here now this is 15. So of course it goes back to the average, back to the normal. Yes. In reality, it's not like that. So there should be a number here. However, let's predict this. So let's say, or we don't know what will happen. Let's say we're going, it will stay in the center somewhere. Yes. So it will go back to 10, then 15, and then it goes to 12.5. And we're going to put this to 15, and then get back to 12, and then we go to 17, and then suddenly it will have a growth 21, then we go back to 20, and then it goes to 19. Alright, so what happened now here? Let's say here, refresh. You can see here now, oh, of course it doesn't allow this. Why it doesn't allow this? Simply because we don't have enough items in chart.js. What I mean by that, this one here. So we put in some labels. So I just make it short. Sep, October, Nov, December. Then you say Jan, Feb. There should be normally days and not like this. But okay, you get my point. April. I'm not sure how many data points we have. We have quite a lot of data points, so quite a few. May, June, and July. I'll keep it like that. Let's see what happens. Alright, so we have many data points. And you can see here now, this is the stock here. Alright, so it goes well up, and bam, it jumps up, down, up, and then it goes down again, and then it fluctuates a bit. It's going up and down all the time. And you can see here, moving average, it's getting cheaper here now according to this. But of course, you can see here the July data point. This you will only discover the moment it hits here. Because this is not really the right prediction. I will have to work on this one, how to make a right prediction, because this one is more based on future numbers. It figures out what's the prediction, but by that time you're too late for the opportunity. So I should have another way where we are basically starting from from the last data and going back, the first 3 data should show here. So for example, this data would be what we did here should be done here. And then after that, the next data, that would help us more. Well, probably in the next video, I will try to explore this part. So I hope this was quite interesting. It's quite fun to explore this, because this is quite new as well for me as well, to figure out how to make these kind of functions. But once you understand, this is the most important, once you understand these kind of arrays, you understand all these methods in the arrays, you can do a lot. So for example, what happens if we do a moving average of 5? Let's save this. You can see here more. Then you can see here it starts to change as well more, and it gets, well, I don't know if it's more stable. Well, they say normally if you have 20, it's the most stable you can get, but I'm not sure we can find anything of stability here. Right now you can see here it's quite stable here, but in the meanwhile here it apparently figures out it's getting cheaper. However, this is a bit of fun part with ChartJS. I'm sure there's so many more things we can do. Probably in the next video I will explore that as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like these kind of videos, subscribe to my channel, and if you have any questions regarding to this, put them in the comment section below.